I bought me a stripper. Something I've never done before. I got this from Sherwin-Williams, and I'm gonna try it out up on the roof. And if it goes well, I'm gonna do the whole cab with it. And the reason I'm attempting to do this is because I just do not want to sand all the paint off of my van, because I live in it now. I changed my shirt and I'm outside now. I read the instructions on this stuff and it said, do not use indoors. The vapors are thick. It's basically like 3 different solvents mixed with Vaseline. You just paint it on there. It's like a gel, and then just let it sit. But it's gonna produce some pretty raunchy stank when it's eating the paint off of this van. First thing I'm gonna do is remove my hood. I'm gonna just hope and pray that it doesn't like totally destroy the trim around my windshield or any of the plastic parts of the van. It really doesn't give you like do's or don'ts, other than the vapors are extremely flammable. Be outside, protect your eyes, wear gloves, don't breathe it in too much or you'll die. Allow the remover to stand undisturbed until the old finish softens enough to be removed with a putty knife. So I'm just gonna brush it on the roof, let it sit for like an hour, and then try to scrape the paint off and see what happens. If that goes well, I'll do the whole rest of the cab, and then I'll probably wash the van just to like neutralize whatever's left on there so it doesn't just keep eating away overnight. And then if that goes well, then I'm gonna just kind of sand the whole cab with like the DA or a palm sander just to get a good, basically prep the bare metal or what's left of the paint job. And then I'll Bondo all the dents and imperfections, and then work on getting it ready to spray some primer on it. So hopefully this goes well. The main reason I don't want to sand my van is because I live in it. I just don't want to deal with all that dust, you know. My mattress is in there, all my food, my spices. Like, I would have to pull every single thing out of the van, like take the TV off the wall. Like, there's so many things that would just get destroyed if I sanded all the paint off this van at this point, you know. And there's lots of other reasons. It's the middle of summer. Today it's actually like in the 70s, but it's either that or it's 110 with 99% humidity. My rockers started rusting between when I like ground the paint off of them and when I welded the new metal on, which was like literally a day later. And just the amount of work, you know. My air compressor is awesome. It's a 60-gallon, like really nice compressor, but it's from 1996. So I want to save on it and just use it to paint the van with. I don't want to just like run it for frickin' 12 hours straight till it explodes while I'm running the DA. So, you know, that's kind of, this is my Hail Mary right here. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't work great, I might just repaint the cab roof and just try to save on the rest of it. We'll see. At this point, I don't want to save this paint. I want it all gone. I want to start over. But anyway, removing the hood. You know, I used to have quite the reputation as a guy who likes to party, but I really don't enjoy breathing in chemicals and fumes and shit. It just gives me a headache. I'm just gonna like dump some on here, I guess, and see what happens. Oh, that's not too bad. It smells like, you know, like nail polish remover or something. Yeah, I feel like they were being a little dramatic about the fumes. This is not that serious. There's two different versions of this stuff. This is the more heavy duty one. This one says like automotive and marine finishes. The other one was more like weekend warrior homeowner guy kind of stuff. I didn't really park my van all that great as far as being able to get the ladder in here. There's what we'll do. I probably should have like brushed off the paint chips before starting this, but that's okay. They can just turn into a gelatinous pile of stuff too. Man, I need to clean my solar panels though. They are dusty. I sanded all that Bondo in the shop last week, so. All right, hopefully this stuff works. It seems to be really eating that primer up, so as long as it can get through this paint. And I'll sand the van outside too, just to at least keep the dust out of the shop as much as I can. Well, it's been about 20 minutes. I'm not totally blown away by the results. I can see that it's kind of working. I'm gonna go ahead and add a second coat now. It says 20 minutes for paint, but it says 50 minutes for epoxy or marine coatings. So I'm gonna kind of go off of that. This is an enamel, not an epoxy, but I'm gonna give it just a good hour to chew at it, but I am gonna add a second coat. It's pretty breezy today. So it's kind of drying stuff up, and you know, really indoors it would probably work better because the fumes, the like toxic cloud of flammable gas would kind of like hover right there. And anyway, all right, it's been like an hour and a half since I put the first coat on. I put 2 thick coats on, so I think I've given it the best chance I can. Let's see. It's not looking good. glad I didn't put this on the rest of the cab, because it's not doing shit. Well, yeah, this stuff sucks. Well, my first experience with the stripper was disappointing. And that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. I'm just kidding. I put another coat on it, and I'm just gonna let it sit overnight, you know. If it works, it works. If not, then I'm probably gonna end up taking everything out of my van and sanding the cab down, you know. I mean, what else can I do, you know? So it's like 4 days later. I just got off work for good, and you know, the stripper was working a little bit, but I've decided to just sand it all off anyway, because I mean, it would take me like 3 days of using this stripper to get all the paint off, and really I could sand this entire cab down in like probably 4 hours. So I'm just gonna go for it, you know? Also, it's all like gross now. That was pretty satisfying. I might scrape at this for like an hour. Because if I can get most of it off with the putty knife, I mean, shit. That's just that much less dust, you know what I mean? Once I hit it with the DA. This is actually going pretty well. All right, look at that. I was able to strip my whole roof down with a single edge razor blade and 2 CCR albums. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and just keep scraping. I'm gonna try to just scrape as much of the cab off by hand as possible. You know, a whole bunch of paint chips all over the floor is a lot easier to clean up than a 1/4 inch thick layer of dust on everything. Look at that. And then I will pull the van outside, grab a DA or a palm sander. Might use just the palm sander to save on my compressor. And, you know, sand down the primer. I don't got to take it all the way off. And then I can start body working this thing. But this is going well, actually. And I figured out it is a base coat clear coat. And that's probably why the stripper wasn't really stripping all that great. See? That's the clear. So, yeah, cue time lapse. I'm gonna just spend the rest of the night scraping. I'm having flashbacks to when I was scraping the decals off the box. All right, so on the rest of the cab, adhesion's actually really good, other than the areas that I was already planning on messing with. So really my original plan would have worked, but it's too late for that now. I am going to pretty much pull the van outside and sand everything down, but I have to do some things first to try to minimize the amount of dust that's going to get into my living area. But at least I got most of the roof sanded off, or scraped off. Look at the floor. So I mean, I could sit here and scrape all night, but it'll take me like 2 or 3 hours of sanding with the DA to strip the rest of this cab down. So that's the plan. It's trying to avoid doing that, but I tried every other thing I can do. I tried that stripper. I tried scraping it. It's, do what you gotta do. So, yeah, I'm gonna do some prep work and then get to sanding. I'm just gonna get this whole cab stripped down pretty much to the point I had that hood, and then I can body work it and get it ready for primer. Alright, I've plasticed off my cab. And I got my fridge back here now. Hopefully that kind of helps keep some of the dust out. I was trying to find that window film that you put on your windows in the wintertime, but since it's August, nobody had that. But what I did find, because I went to Menards, they got stripper disc 4-piece set for like $7. I'm going to give that a shot, see if I can do it with the angle grinder. If not, DA. It's so humid out here, my windows and everything fogged up immediately as soon as I pulled the van out. It's only like 84, but the humidity is insane out here. 2.5 hours later, I got all the paint sanded off the cab. These little frickin' grinder patties, man, these things are awesome. I used 2 of them to do the whole cab, and I could have probably just kept going with the first one, but what happens is when they wear out, they kind of develop this conical shape, and then it gets like your cut pattern gets narrower and narrower. At first they scared me because they're like super aggressive, and I was like, oh no, this is not gonna work. This is gonna like tear up the sheet metal and stuff, but it doesn't. When it gets through the paint and gets down to the sheet metal, it does not eat the metal at all. And I don't know where these things have been all my life, but they're awesome. But I am gonna have to go over the entire cab with, I'm gonna use the palm sander with some like 180 or 220 grit to smooth it all out. Cause it is like, it does leave it pretty rough. Honestly, the DA is a better way to do this. It's just, you get more control. It's a lot soft, like, it's just a smoother way to do that. And really, this ain't any faster. The DA actually cuts like a much wider path than this little guy, but this is great. And this little $15 frickin' grinder from Menards really got to work out tonight. And it's still rocking. It didn't even get hot or nothing. I mean, I've been using the crap out of this thing since I bought it, and I've had it for probably like 9 months now or something. So, tool shop for the win. It's 11 o'clock at night, but I'm gonna keep going. I'm on a roll, and I want to get this like part of the job behind me. You know, my van is extremely filthy. I really wish I could like hose it off right now, but that's probably a horrible idea because it's bare metal and it would just immediately rust. And my plastic fell off right away. Well, I don't know when, but I kind of discovered late in the game that that fell down. But I just checked, and the inside of the van is not dusty at all. I think a lot of that is because I have a west wind, like a nice perfect breeze, and it's like, this is working out really well. The humidity, insane. My air compressor is just blasting water. I have a moisture collector, but what happened is the inside of the shop here is like 75 degrees and air conditioned, but out there it's like, I don't know, it's probably 84 degrees, 83, something like that. But the humidity is like 99.9%. It is ridiculous. I think the dew point is probably 80 degrees tonight. So it's like I might as well hose my van off because the air is water anyway, but I'm gonna wait until I get primer on the cab before I wash the van. I'm definitely washing the whole van before I actually spray the you know, the paint on it. But yeah, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna just grab the palm sander, throw some like 220 on it, and just go over everything. I'm gonna do the roof last because that's just the part that I'm dreading the most. There's still a ton of primer on the roof, which is fine. I'm not gonna like take it all the way to bare metal, but just standing up on the ladder, and I really can't see what I'm doing because it is like the middle of the night, but good thing about this shop being in an industrial part of town, I can make all the noise I want all night long. I had to stop for the night and get the van back in the shop. I went to sand the roof and it was wet. Like everything was condensating, the dew point, we hit it. So I am going to wipe the whole van down with that wax and grease remover, not the whole van, the cab, with hopes that that would dissipate the moisture on it, and hopefully the whole thing doesn't turn frickin' orange by morning. Also, my air fitting on the end of my hose is going bad on me. Buy more of this before I'm done with this job. I got maybe a pint left. I could probably put I've done that before, put a pump spray on top. So it's Friday the 8th. Yesterday was my last day at my job. Back in, like right at the beginning of July, the guy that I hired to replace me at my work took over. I went from a full-time salaried employee that managed office buildings to an hourly employee, kind of part-time at my job. I then took a whole week off, and all of the suspension and chassis work and all the tune-up videos and everything on my channel, I did all that work in that 1 week. And since then I've been working like 32 hours a week at least, pretty much full-time, just because I needed the money. But I am now done with my day job, so now I live in a van and I'm unemployed. Hey ladies. I've had a couple of comments from people just saying they're kind of tired of the van build and they're ready to see me hit the road, and yeah, me too. Trust me, I'm done with this van build. Like, I'm sick of it. So now this is the final push. I'm gonna get this van done and sell all my tools and move out of this shop by the end of August. So this is kind of the final hurrah of this van build. So I will be hitting the road, and I am leaving October 3rd. The first weekend of October, I'm out of here. So awesome content is coming to this channel very soon. That being said, it is Friday the 8th, and I need to get this video up on YouTube and then get right back to work sanding on this van. I'm gonna get all the body work done and get this thing in primer by Monday. So stay tuned for the next body work video. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this video with an update on the suspension, because if you recall, the van wasn't quite level when I was done with all of that work. The finger is healing up good on its own. The nail just fell off yesterday. But here's an update on the suspension, and stay tuned for the next bodywork video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. I have 3-inch lift blocks for the van. There's 2s in there right now, and it's just not perfect. So I'm gonna put these 3s on, and the van will sit just how I want it to. But I also have 4-inch blocks with longer U-bolts, just in case, after I get this build completely done, get my hitch on, get it all loaded down. If it's still a little too low in the rear, I can mess with these. But I think 3s are the ticket, so I'm gonna put these on now and see how the van looks. That is much better. So when I put the new front bumper on, plus the winch, about 200 pounds of stuff on the front of the van, then it should be absolutely perfect. But the question is, after I put a trailer hitch on the back of the van and then fill the van with all my crap, will this be enough? I hope so, because I don't really want 4-inch blocks, but you know. The shape of the body, you know, the wheel wells in the front being as open as they are, and then the back being the way that it is, made out of plywood, makes it look like it's higher in the front yet, but here's how you tell. Just measure it where it matters. You know, the stove's level, the van's level. Nothing else really matters, honestly.